The voice beneath Hollowmere did not echo. It arrived inside my bones. "Welcome back, Warden." Every light in the estate flickered once, then died. For 3 seconds, Hollowmere was swallowed by perfect darkness. No generators, no emergency lamps, no red warning lights. Only the sound of people holding their breath. Then the backup power returned, dim blue. Unsteady Marin stood beside me in the medical wing. One hand gripping the table, the silver apostle core had cracked open in the copper bowl. A thin beam of light still pierced the floor, pointing downward like a finger. I looked at the black key on my wrist. It was open, not glowing open, like an eye staring into a room I could not see. Marin whispered, "Please tell me the mountain normally talks." No, that is becoming my least favorite answer. Below us, the stone groaned. Not breaking, ducking. A message appeared across every monitor in Hollowmere. No signal source, no language I recognized, but the Gravecell translated it inside my mind. Second Warden confirmed. Mere route awakening. I find the city that still speaks. The words vanished. Then the screens showed a map of the frozen city below the mountain. One point pulsed in silver. The old northern observatory. Marin stared at the screen. The observatory? Why? Because before the black frost, scientists watched the sky from there. And now? I looked at the broken moon above the valley. Now the sky is watching back. We did not leave immediately. Only fools rush toward ancient voices under mountains. So I prepared. By dawn, Hollowmere was armed, sealed, and terrified. The survivors gathered in the main hall while frost beat against the windows. I stood above them on the balcony. "The mountain has opened something beneath us," I said. That earned exactly the silence I expected. The broken moon knows where we are. The dead know where we are. And now something under Hollowmere knows me. A guard cursed softly. Illyra stood near the water crew, pale and thin. Soren stood beside her, eyes lowered. "I am going to the observatory for answers. Marin is coming. 4 guards are coming. Everyone else stays inside." A mechanic shouted, "And if the moon sends another army, then the gates hold, and if they don't," I looked at him, "then die loudly enough that I hear it from the city." No one laughed. Good. Fear made people check locks twice. Marin found me in the armory loading heat charges into the snow crawler. "You know," she said, "a normal leader would reassure them. A normal leader would be dead." "Fair." She handed me a small injector filled with pale liquid. "What is it?" "Stabilized frost core serum. If your body temperature drops too fast, use it. And if I don't, you become a dramatic statue. I will write something insulting on the base." I took the injector, thoughtful. Before we left, Illyra approached the crawler. She did not wear silk anymore. She wore patched wool, cracked gloves, and the expression of someone learning hunger had no manners. "Riven," she said. Soren stood behind her, silent. I waited. "Take me with you." "No, I know the old city. So do maps. I worked near the observatory." My father was a maintenance supervisor there. That made me pause. In my first life, Illyra had told me many things. Mostly lies, but not that. Illyra stepped closer. I know a lower access tunnel. If the main roads are blocked, I can get you inside. Maren looked at me. She might be useful. She might be bait. Useful bait is still useful. Illyra flinched, but did not argue. That was new. I opened the crawler door. Get in. Soren took one step forward. I looked at him. Not you. His jaw tightened. Illyra goes. I go. No, Illyra might know something. You know how to stand beside stronger people and call it loyalty. His face went white. Illyra did not defend him. That hurt him more than my words. Good. Pain was a teacher. The city was worse than the monitors showed. The roads had become black glass beneath ash snow. Cars sat buried up to their windows. Inside them, families remained frozen in the last shape of panic. No one in the crawler spoke. Even Illyra stopped shivering. The dead did not attack at first. They watched from alleys. Frost shades pressed pale faces against broken shop windows. Some whispered, warm. Others whispered their own names, as if trying to remember who they had been before hunger became their only prayer. Maren studied them through the side glass. They're changing. How? They are not just hunting heat anymore. They are organizing around sound. Ahead, a frozen traffic light swung in the wind. It was still blinking red, without power. Illyra pointed. Turn left. Observatory Service Road is under the old transit bridge. We turned. The street narrowed between two towers. That was when the voices began. Help me. A child's voice, then a man. Please. Then an old woman. I'm still alive. The guards stiffened. I raised one hand. Do not answer. On both sides of the street stood statues, hundreds of them, people frozen upright in grey ice, mouths open, hands reaching. Some had fallen and shattered, others remained almost perfect. Their voices came from inside the ice, begging, lorving, praying. Lying Illyra covered her ears. They weren't like this before. No, I said. This is new. A frozen man beside the road turned his eyes toward us. Only his eyes moved. Trade, he whispered. The crawler stopped, not because I ordered it, because the road ahead was blocked by a gate made from frozen bodies. Behind it, lanterns burned with blue flame. People stepped from the ruins. Living people, wrapped in fur, plastic, and strips of reflective metal. Their faces were painted with ash. At their center stood a thin man wearing a crown made of cracked phone screens. He bowed. Welcome to the glass market. I opened the crawler hatch and stepped out. The cold bit, but did not claim me. The man's eyes flicked to my bare hand in the ash snow, then to my wrist. His smile grew sharper. A warm lord, I said, move the gate. Everything moves for a price. Maren stepped out behind me. What do you trade? The man opened his arms. Memories. One of his people dragged forward a frozen statue of a young woman. A blue flame burned inside her open mouth. The crowned man touched her forehead. The flame brightened. For a happy childhood, we give 3 hours of heat. For a first kiss, 1 full meal. For the memory of a dead mother, medicine. For betrayal. He looked at me. Betrayal burns longest. Illyra whispered, "That's disgusting." The crowned man smiled at her. Only to people who still have enough food to afford disgust. I stepped forward. I need passage to the observatory, and I need warmth. I opened the Gravecell and dropped a crate of heater cells into the snow. The market people stared. The crowned man's smile vanished. Generous. "No," I said. "Efficient. Move the gate." He looked at the crate, then at me. "I can offer something better." I did not ask. "Give me 1 memory, and I will give you the safest path." "No." He stepped closer. "Give me the memory of the woman at your door, the betrayal, the death, the hatred. I will remove it cleanly." The street went silent. Even the frozen statues stopped whispering. Illyra stared at me. The crowned man spoke softly. "You carry that memory like a blade through your chest. Let it go. You will still know she betrayed you. You simply will not feel it." For 1 second I imagined it. No steel door, no golden light, no Illyra holding tea, no Soren smiling in my coat. Peace, maybe. Then I laughed. Pain is a map. If I erase it, I may walk back to the same door. I raised my wrist, and I do not enter traps twice. The Gravecell opened above the body gate. A block of reinforced concrete dropped from the sky and smashed the frozen corpses apart. The market people raised weapons. I looked at them. "Keep the heater cells. Keep your teeth. Choose one." The crowned man stepped aside. Warm lords always become monsters. I walked past him. Only when the cold asks politely. Illyra followed in silence. We reached the observatory at dusk. The dome had cracked open like an eggshell. The telescope pointed toward the broken moon. Frost covered the building, but the lower access hatch was still where Illyra said it would be. She knelt beside a buried panel and cleared the ice. Her hands shook. "My father used to bring me here when I was small," she said. "He told me stars were old fires that refused to die." I said nothing. She looked at me. "I know it does not matter." "No," I said, "it matters, just not enough." She nodded like the answer hurt, but not unfairly. Inside, the observatory was full of hanging ice. Computer terminals flickered with silver light. A frozen scientist sat at the central console, 1 hand still resting on the keyboard. Above him, words had been carved into the wall with fingernails. "The moon is an egg," Mayorin exhaled. I hate when dead scientists are poetic. I moved to the console. The screen activated before I touched it. The black key on my wrist burned. A recording began. A woman in a lab coat appeared, face gaunt, eyes sleepless. "This is Dr. Illyra Sen, Northern Sky Division. If this archive opens, the first seal has failed." Static cut through her voice. "The object we call the moon is not a satellite. It is a containment shell. Something inside it is alive. The black frost is not weather. It is leakage." Marin stepped closer. "Leakage from what?" Dr. Sen's recording seemed to look directly at me. "From the prisoner." The room temperature dropped. The Gravecell system was created to store heat, matter, and memory during previous leakage cycles. The Wardens were meant to protect survivors until the shell stabilized. The image flickered, but the first Warden betrayed the system. He began storing people, not bodies, voices. Minds, worship. He called it mercy. Behind Dr. Sen, something struck the lab door. She flinched. If a second Warden has awakened, listen carefully. Do not trust the first Warden. Do not open the lower gates. And whatever speaks from the moon. The recording glitched. Do not let it learn your true name. The screen died. For a moment, none of us spoke. Then Elira said, "Riven Vale is not your true name." I turned slowly. She looked frightened by her own question. The black key on my wrist pulsed once. A memory that was not mine passed through my head. A black gate. A crown of frost. A voice saying, "Second Warden must be prepared." Then the frozen scientist at the console moved. His head lifted. Ice cracked around his jaw. He opened his mouth, but the voice that came out was not his. It was old Pardoden, familiar. Too late. Every frozen statue in the observatory turned toward me. Marin raised her rifle. Elira stepped back. The dead scientist smiled with broken lips. The moon heard enough. Outside, the sky answered. The cracked moon opened wider. A silver beam fell from it onto the observatory dome. The frozen scientists began to stand. Not shades, not corpses, something smarter. Their eyes burned silver. The first one spoke with Dr. Sen's voice. "Identify the Warden." Another answered with my mother's voice. "Take his name." I opened the Gravecell. Steel plates dropped around Marin and Elira, forming cover. The silver dead charged. They moved like puppets pulled by one hand, fast, silent. I cut through the first with my heated blade. It did not bleed. It spilled white letters into the air. The letters crawled toward my skin. Marin shouted, "Do not let them touch you." I already knew. Names had power here. One letter landed on my glove. It burned through leather and carved itself toward my wrist. I sliced the glove off before it reached skin. Elira grabbed a fire axe from the wall and struck a silver dead scientist before it reached Marin's back. The skull cracked. She stared at what she had done, then struck again. Good fear had finally found a job. The fight pushed us into the telescope chamber. Above us, the broken dome exposed the moon. The silver beam brightened. The dead spoke in unison. "Give us the true name." The black key burned so hot, I nearly dropped my blade. Then the Gravecell opened by itself, not above me, inside me. For 1 second, I saw the endless black chamber. Millions of doors, millions of voices. And at the center, the throne of locked gates. The shadowed man on the throne raised his head. I still could not see his face, but I saw his smile. "Say your name," he whispered. "Rule them." I clenched my teeth. No. I slammed my blade into the observatory floor. Then I opened the Gravecell outward and released every stored mirror, glass panel, and polished steel sheet I had taken from Hollowmere's renovations. They exploded into the air around the telescope chamber. The silver beam hit 1,000 reflections at once. Light fractured, the dead screamed. Marin understood immediately. Redirect it into the telescope. She and Alira shoved the main controls. The old machine groaned. I forced the mirrors into place with the Gravecell. The moonbeam bent once, twice. Then it shot upward through the telescope and back into the crack in the moon. For the first time, the thing above the sky screamed. Not in air. In every frozen voice across the city. The silver dead collapsed. The observatory went dark. I fell to one knee. Blood ran from my nose. Marin rushed to me. Riven, I'm alive. That is a minimum standard, not a diagnosis. Alira stood beneath the broken dome, breathing hard, axe still in hand. For once, she did not look like the woman behind the shelter door. She looked like someone trying to become different. I did not forgive her, but I noticed the central console flickered one last time. A new file opened, not from Dr. Sen, from Hollowmere, from beneath the mountain. Coordinates appeared. Then a title, First Warden Tomb, Myron. Myron read it aloud. No, the screen changed. A countdown began. 72 hours below it, one sentence appeared. If the second warden does not descend, the first will ascend. The observatory shook. Far away, beneath Hollowmere, something answered with a roar deep enough to move the mountain. I stood slowly. The moon had tried to steal my name. The first warden was waking, and Hollowmere sat on top of his tomb. I looked toward the Black Mountain Road. In my first life, I died begging outside a locked door. In this life, every door in the world seemed to know my hand. But the next one was different. It was not keeping me out. It was waiting for me to open it.